Hello and welcome, everyone. As always, I welcome you all to the aftermarket analysis session of the Indian markets Nifty and Bank Nifty. This is the aftermarket analysis session where, after the market closes, we look at where the buyers and sellers came in Nifty today. Alright, and basically, we try to read the footprint properly and see what exactly happened in the market. If you are new and want to learn order flow or want to learn how to use the footprint effectively, then you can join this daily live webinar at 5 p.m. in the evening. You will get the link to this webinar on GoCharting's Discord and Telegram community before 5 p.m. in the evening. In any case, if you miss this webinar, then you can watch the recording of this same webinar on GoCharting's YouTube channel. The recording of this webinar is uploaded on GoCharting's YouTube channel between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the evening. Okay, I have shared all the useful links of GoCharting, YouTube, Discord, Telegram in the message section. You can go there and join all of them. Okay, so now let's see what kind of confirmations we had from the volume profile before reading the order flow footprint. So, the confirmation from the volume profile was that today there was quite a big gap down. How many points was this gap down? There was a gap down movement of around 200 points, and of course, there was also some news involved because there was news of a plane crash which affected the image of Tata's company a bit. Okay, so there was news as well. It was mostly news based. Okay, so there's no problem. But what happened here is that the previous swing high and swing low that had formed in the market, this gap down opening broke through both those levels. Let me explain. Let me open Epic Pen. Now, have a look at this. From 12th May to 5th June, the market remained within a range. See, it was within this range, and we used to observe it every day. After this analysis, when we mark the levels, we give a lot of importance to this, and within this very range, the composition of the volume profile, this level of the volume profile was the most important. Isn't it? Look here, which ones are there? This is one volume node. Then there is this one. After that, this bigger one, and the biggest one. Alright, so we used to mark this every day. Today, in this gap down opening, the entire volume profile of this swing high and swing low was broken, and there was a significant gap down opening. So whatever we had marked till now, right, we used to mark it every day as a spot. So today, since there is a gap down opening, it will be more beneficial to treat this as a kind of resistance. It will be more beneficial to consider it that way. Okay, now such a big gap down has happened. Alright, so what will we do? We will also take some recent sessions into account. Like, for the recent session, this swing high and low itself is there, right? Okay. But right now, what we consider on the downside is more important. So what can we do for that? We can go to a slightly higher time frame, like the daily time frame or the 30-minute time frame. Okay, let's see that the market had formed this swing high and swing low. When was the market below this? Like this day, okay, so by applying the volume profile of these days. By applying the volume profile of these days, we can see which level was important for today. So, this one came out. We marked this. Another one came out, so we marked its low. Okay, so these two things have come out in front of us. It means that the range which the market had created on the side, its support zone has now, in some way, become like a resistance. But on the downside, we marked this as a support, which we just saw how we marked it. Okay, the volume profile is done. We have quite a big range here, right? But let's see here on the order flow where the buyers came in, where the sellers came in, and what kind of confirmation they gave us. Before you can read the footprint properly, you should know what delta is. Because with the help of delta, we read the footprint here every day. Okay, now what is this delta? In simple language, if I say the difference between buyers and sellers is what we call delta, like when we pick any one candle. We have picked this candle, the third candle of today, alright? The 9:15 to 9:30 candle. These are the footprints of this candle. Alright, now on these same footprints, the buyers are on the right side. The sellers are on the left side. We have totaled all the buyers on the right side once. Alright, let's assume the total from here has come out. Let's take an assumed number so that we can understand what delta actually is. Was 1,53,000 okay? Since these are buyers, we will denote it with a plus sign. And then we have added up all the sellers on the left side. The total for this has come out to be around 1 lakh. Since these are sellers, we marked it as negative. If we subtract these two, what will we get? 1 lakh sellers, 53,000, 1 lakh 53,000 buyers, 1 lakh 53,000 buyers, okay. Now, since the number of buyers is higher, we will put the value of these buyers here inside the green box. Okay. Okay, so whenever the value is inside the green box and there is no negative sign in front of the value, that means there are that many more buyers in that candle. Now, let's pick the very next candle, this candle. What is the delta of this candle? There is a negative sign in front of the value and it is inside the red box, so that means there are more sellers in this candle as compared to buyers. So, how many more sellers are there? 40,000, 40,000. Just like in that candle, we saw that there were more buyers. In the same way, using the same formula, in this candle, there are that many more sellers. Now, whenever there are more sellers, we call it negative delta. Negative delta equals sellers, simple. And whenever there are more buyers, we call it positive delta. Positive delta equals buyers, as simple as that, okay. So now, pick any candle, like we randomly picked this candle. Let's look at the delta of this candle. It's a positive delta, so what is more in this candle? There are more buyers even though the candle is red. There's no issue at all. Forget about red or green. Alright, just see what the delta is inside that candle. What confirmation is it giving us? Okay, order flow helps you a lot in this way as well. So what we can see now is that there are some candles whose delta is very high, like this delta of 50K, delta of 49, delta of 53, delta of 40K, delta of 25K, and look at these, some candles are like this, only 2000, again 2000, only 16,000, only 6,000, only 7,000. It means we have some candles whose delta is very high and some candles whose delta is quite low. So the candles. The candles whose delta is quite high, those candles have a lot of buyers and sellers involved. Okay, and where the big players are present, that's where there is more buying and selling. And then look at these candles, the delta of these candles is very low, so there has been very little buying and selling in these candles. So, what is more beneficial for us is that we pick those candles which have a good, substantial, heavy delta. Okay. One special thing about the first candle is that you will always see more buyers and sellers in this candle. You have to read this candle very carefully. Okay. Now, today's first candle had quite a lot of volume in it. Even though the market, that is Nifty, opened with a gap down, boss, there was a lot of volume in this candle, a lot. If I show you by turning on the volume as well. Look at this. There was a volume of 1.5 million in this candle, and if you look at the other candles, even if you combine two or three of them, they don't add up to this much. Alright, look at this. Just 122. Okay, 122. The second candle also had good volume. The third one, even though it opened gap down, there was heavy buying and selling in the market to keep itself stable. Brother, today there is a lot of volume in this, a huge amount of volume. Oh, just have a look at its minimum and maximum delta. Okay, so at one point there were 1 lakh more sellers here, but then there were 1 lakh more buyers, and by the time it closed, there were 50,000 more buyers left. Alright, now how will we read its footprint? With the help of delta. Looked at the delta, yes, it's a heavy delta. There has been quite a good amount of buying. What did the delta indicate? That there are more buyers. Which side is the buyer's side? We went to the right side, which is the buyer's side. Okay. Delta showed that inside this candle, there are more buyers. We went to the buyer's side and saw the place where the most buying activity happened. Like this one, 1,28,000, 94,000, 52,000, 55, 64, 30, 62, meaning this entire zone is where the most buying activity has taken place. So what indication did the first candle give? That this is the place where the most buying activity has happened. Now, until this entire zone is not broken on the downside, until the market comes down to here, we can expect that the market will be bearish somewhere. Now, what confirmation did the next candle give? There are a decent number of buyers inside this candle, right? Here, what confirmation did it give? That some buying activity has happened here, some selling activity has happened here, and where were the sellers the most? Here at 97. Alright, so how far did the market come in the next candle? It came up to here, right? This was the entire buying zone, but the market reached up to here. This means that it has even broken this buying zone. Okay, but this is the place where the buyers are, and this area hasn't been broken yet. In the next candle, there are some sellers. These are the sellers, and then in the following candle, buyers came in again, and then sellers came in again. So what's happening here, boss, is that after a gap down opening, buyers are coming in, then sellers, then buyers again, then sellers again. The market hasn't stabilized yet. Okay, it's hard to say that just because there's a gap down opening, it's bearish. No. What is the order flow telling us? There are buyers as well, sellers as well, buyers as well, and sellers as well. Maybe these are the people who held their positions overnight and they are trying to exit from the market. Okay, anything can happen, but what is the order flow indicating here? Just look at this. Buyer, seller. But here, what we can do is identify that this was the strongest buying zone. So until this is completely broken, the market is not really bearish anywhere, and this is the place where some light buying absorption has also happened. Okay, but where is the highest volume here? Just look at this 62, 62, 64, around 55's buy. Alright, buyer seller. But what's the end of the day result? That this zone still hasn't been broken and we've seen some light buying absorption here. Now look at this candle here. This is the candle where the market's volume went up. Okay, where we can say the market became stable somewhere. Okay. Like I was showing you the volume today, let me show you one more thing inside the volume. Okay, now look at the delta of the second candle. It's 49,000 and look at the volume. It's near to 500,000, and see here, there's a delta of 45,000 as well. But look how low its volume is, just 164,000. Okay, so what's happening here is that there are quite a few buyers and buying and selling is happening with a pretty good volume. But why is the difference in delta showing as less? Because there isn't that much of a difference. Okay. Okay, this is that candle, the 940 candle, where the market actually started to become quite stable. Okay, this is that candle. In the next candle as well, there was some light buying. Now, this zone got tested without any selling interest. There is no selling interest in this candle, and even the volume has now become quite stable. Compared to the first four candles, the following candles have become quite stable. There was a decent pullback. Somewhere, we could say that it was risky because there was a lot of buying and selling happening. You don't usually see this much buying and selling. There was a pullback, and we saw a slight upward movement. Till where? First, it only went up to the buying absorption zone. Okay. Next, which are the candles where we saw a heavy delta? There is this candle at 1020, 1025, and 1030. But what was a bit unusual here was that selling came in, and along with this selling, there was a slight upside as well. So we can say that here, the limit buyers were stronger. How were the limit buyers stronger? Whenever there is a big limit buyer, what happens is aggressive sellers try to push the market down by selling, but the limit buyer's order is quite large. So they don't let the market go down. Now, as soon as the market moves up even a little, they keep moving their limit buy orders up as well. Then, when someone sells, that's why we often see selling happening, but still, there is movement on the upside. So, the thing is, whenever limit buyers are stronger, those who have a good understanding of depth of market can predict this. Like here, in Nifty right now, okay, at 24,660 someone did selling of 46, but there was an even bigger limit buyer sitting there. So, on the selling side, delta will show us that there is selling, right? Delta will show us that it's on the selling side because that's simply buyer-seller limit. But here, there is a limit buyer sitting. As soon as the market moves up a little, he will shift his limit order here. Alright, again, he will shift it here. So what is happening here? Aggressive sellers are trying, but limit buyers are more powerful. They are not letting the market go down. Okay, then we also saw some buying happening. Inside this candle, there is a volume of 44K, so this is the zone where again we saw heavy volume. But still, until this zone is broken for bullishness, and until the market creates any bearish zone, we can expect some downside movement. Okay, again, so even this volume did not bring any significant meaning to the market. Let's look ahead and see which candles have good volume inside them. There was this one candle where a buying attempt was made at 53K, and which are the strongest buying zones. Look at this 31K, 27K, right? We got a pretty good indication of buying absorption. There was a rejection, but it came on the pullback. Another instance of buying was seen. Look at this. In the same zone earlier as well, we had seen buying absorption. Here too, we saw buying absorption. Alright, and which zone is this? This is the same zone that we had observed earlier. The main lower support zone formed by the swings high and low, which is now acting as resistance. Okay, another buying absorption was seen here, and right from this point, after facing rejection, Nifty gave quite a good closing. So, if we talk about Nifty today, what was it like? The market opened with a 200-point gap down, but after that gap down, we saw very heavy volume here. There was solid volume as well, okay. But the good thing was that the buying zone was not broken. There was an upside moment. There was no solid buying moment on the upside, and there was no major upside moment. It went from 640 to 740, stayed around 740, touched 760. That's it, okay. But there was no movement with any solid buying. Here, we saw a buying absorption. Near the resistance, we saw another buying absorption. After the resistance, on the pullback, the market got quite stuck here where the first buying absorption had happened, and from here we saw a rejection. This was today's quick analysis of Nifty. Now, whatever doubts you all have, please unmute yourself and ask me.